The shotgun blast echoed through the cornfields like God's own thunder, splintering the wooden cross propped against the old oak tree. Elijah froze, his heart slamming against his ribs, as Reverend Harlan's voice cut through the dusk. "Boy, you've brought the devil into our midst. Now face his judgment." Splinters rained down like brittle accusations, and Elijah's knees buckled, not from fear, but from the raw ache of a lifetime spent hiding in plain sight. In that split second, as the smoke curled from the barrel like a serpent's tongue, he wondered if this was the end or the spark that would finally burn it all down. Elijah Whitaker had grown up in Harlan's Bend, Iowa, where the summers stretched lazy and golden across endless fields of corn that whispered secrets to the wind. It was the kind of town where everyone knew your middle name, your daddy's sins, and the exact shade of your shame. At 24, Elijah was the quiet one, the mechanic who fixed tractors at dawn and faded into the pews at Harlan Community Church by Sunday, his calloused hands folded in prayer like a good son should. But beneath the grease-stained overalls and the easy smile he flashed at the feed store, there was a truth that festered like an untreated wound. Elijah was gay. And in Harlan's Bend, that made him a sin wrapped in flannel, a stain on the town's spotless ledger of faith and family. Started small, as these things do in places like this. Whispers in the diner about how he never courted Jenny Mae from down the road, even after her daddy offered him a plot of land as dowry. Sideways glances when he'd linger too long watching the new farmhand unload hay bales, his broad shoulders flexing under the sun. Then came the sermons, Reverend Harlan's fire and brimstone specials on Sodom and Gomorrah, where Elijah's name wasn't spoken, but everyone knew it was etched in the margins of their hymnals. "The wages of sin is death," the Reverend would boom, his jowls quivering like jelly on a hot plate, and Elijah would feel it like a kick to the gut, the congregation's eyes boring into his back row seat. His mama, God rest her soul, had died when he was 12, taken by the cancer that ate her from the inside out while Daddy drowned his grief in bottom-shelf whiskey. That left Elijah and his older brother, Caleb, to hold the Whitaker farm together. Caleb was the golden boy, married to a sweet girl from church, 2 kids already, and a backbone of steel that bent for no one, least of all the rumors swirling around his little brother. "You keep your head down, Eli," Caleb would mutter over supper, his fork scraping the plate like a warning. "Ain't no place for your notions here. Folks talk, and talk turns to tar and feathers." Elijah nodded. Always, because what else could he do? He buried it deep, that pull in his chest when he'd catch a glimpse of a stranger in the city on his rare trips to Des Moines. Men with easy laughs and eyes that didn't judge. But Harlan's Bend wasn't the city. It was a cage of cornstalks and crossed fingers, where love like his was a felony whispered in the dark. That all shattered on a muggy August evening, the kind where the air hung heavy with the promise of storm. Elijah was in the garage behind the house, elbow deep in the engine of Mrs. Hargrove's old Chevy, when the rumble of tires on gravel announced trouble. He wiped the sweat from his brow with a rag that smelled of oil and regret, squinting into the dying light. A sleek black Mustang pulled up, dust swirling like cigarette smoke, and out stepped a man who looked like he'd been poured from the pages of one of those forbidden magazines Elijah kept hidden under his mattress. Tall, with tousled blonde hair that caught the sunset like wheat in the wind, and eyes the color of storm clouds over the Mississippi. He wore a leather jacket over a faded band tee, something about rebels and rock and roll, and jeans that hugged his hips in a way that made Elijah's mouth go dry. "Hey!" the stranger called. his voice carrying a drawl that wasn't quite southern, more like the lazy cadence of California dreams mixed with East Coast edge. "You the mechanic around here? Name's Lucas Hale. My ride's coughing like a chain smoker." Elijah straightened, his heart doing a two-step he couldn't name. "Yeah, that's me. Elijah Whitaker. What seems to be the trouble?" He extended a hand, grease and all, and when Lucas gripped it, firm, warm, with a spark that jumped like a live wire, Elijah felt the world tilt just a fraction. Lucas had blown into town like a rogue breeze, chasing a story for some queer rag out of San Francisco. He was a journalist, or so he said, with a notebook full of scribbles and a camera slung over his shoulder like a six-shooter. But Harlan's Bend wasn't kind to outsiders, especially ones who asked questions about the troubled youth or the church's moral guidance programs. Lucas didn't care. He'd grown up in a world that tried to break him. Foster homes in Chicago, a coming out that ended with his stepdad's fist and his mother's silence. And now he wrote about the ghosts of that pain, giving voice to the voiceless. They talked while Elijah worked, the conversation flowing easy as creek water. Lucas leaned against the fender, lighting a cigarette with a Zippo that clicked like a secret. "So, what's the deal with this place? Feels like stepping into a Norman Rockwell painting, but with pitchforks hidden in the barn." Elijah chuckled, low and guarded. "Rockwell with a side of revelation. Folks here hold tight to the good book. Don't much care for deviations." He risked a glance, and Lucas met it square, his gaze peeling back layers Elijah had armored over years. "Devil's in the details, huh? Or maybe the devil's just the guy who won't play pretend." Lucas exhaled smoke toward the sky, watching it dissolve. "I get it. Grew up dodging stones myself. You ever think about getting out? Seeing what's beyond the bend?" "Every damn day," Elijah thought, but he shrugged instead. "Farm needs tending. Family too. Ain't that simple." By the time the carburetor was purring smooth, the stars had pricked the velvet sky, and Lucas was lingering, offering a beer from a cooler in his trunk. They sat on the tailgate, the metal warm under their thighs, and for the first time in forever, Elijah felt seen not as a sin, but as a man with stories etched in his scars. Lucas shared tales of protests in the Castro, drag shows in the village, lovers who'd come and gone like seasons. Elijah listened, hunger gnawing at him, and when their shoulders brushed, neither pulled away. That night, alone in his creaky bed, Elijah dreamed of highways unspooling west, of hands intertwined without shame. But dawn brought reality. Caleb's truck in the drive, his face thunderous. "Heard you jawing with that city fella last night. What are you playing at, Eli?" "Folks are already talking. Just fixing his car, Cal." "Nothing more." Caleb's eyes narrowed, the family resemblance sharp as a switchblade. "Better be. We got enough trouble without you stirring the pot. Remember what happened to Tommy Reese? Ran off with that drifter, came back in a pine box. Drowned, they said. Accident." His voice dropped. "But accidents happen to boys like us." Elijah swallowed the bile rising in his throat. Tommy, his first crush, stolen kisses in the hayloft at 16, gone at 18. The town called it tragedy. Elijah called it murder by indifference. "I ain't Tommy. See that you ain't." Caleb clapped his shoulder, hard enough to bruise, and drove off to the fields. The days blurred into a dangerous rhythm. Lucas kept coming back needing tune-ups, or so he claimed. his Mustang a flimsy excuse for stolen hours. They'd drive out to the river bend, where the water ran lazy and the willows draped like curtains, and talk turned to touch. A brush of knuckles, a lingering stare, until one afternoon, under a sky bruised purple with rain, Lucas cupped Elijah's face and kissed him. It was fire and flood, tentative at first, then fierce, Elijah's hands fisting in that leather jacket as if anchoring himself to reality. "I shouldn't," Elijah gasped when they broke apart, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling. "This place. It'll destroy us." Lucas's thumb traced his jaw, gentle as a promise. "Then let's burn it down together. I've got a story to tell here, Eli. About a town that fears its own heart. But it's more than words now. It's you." Elijah wanted to believe him. God, he did. But fear was a tenacious weed, rooted deep. Still, they stole moments. A midnight picnic under the harvest moon. Lucas's head in his lap as Elijah read aloud from a dog-eared copy of Walt Whitman. Voices low against the chorus of crickets. Laughter came easier, barriers crumbling like dry earth under rain. Lucas showed him photos from his travels. Rainbow flags whipping in wind, couples dancing in the streets of pride parades. "This could be us," he'd say, and Elijah would trace the images with trembling fingers, tasting freedom on his tongue. But Harlan's Bend had eyes everywhere. Mrs. Hargrove's nephew, Billy, spotted them once by the river, his truck idling like a predator. Word spread like kudzu, twisting into uglier shapes, the mechanics whoring with the devil's envoy, corrupting the pure. Reverend Harlan preached double time, his sermons laced with venom. "Beware the wolf in sheep's clothing. He comes not with horns, but with honeyed lies, luring our sons to perdition." Caleb cornered Elijah in the barn one evening, pitchfork in hand like a scepter. "Billy saw you. With him. Kissing like some filthy." "It ain't filthy," Elijah shot back, voice cracking like thunder. "It's me, Cal. The real me. And Lucas. He sees it. Loves it." "Loves?" Caleb spat, face twisting. "That snake?" I looked him up. Writes for those perversion papers, stirring up sodomites across the country. He's using you, Eli, to make a mockery of us all. He's not, but the doubt wormed in, cold and coiling. Was Lucas just chasing a headline? Elijah, the tragic queer of the heartland, fodder for his byline? The argument escalated, words flying like hay bales in a gale, until Caleb swung the pitchfork, not to strike, but to shatter a nearby crate, shards exploding like Elijah's resolve. "Get him out of here, or I will. For your own good. Family first. Remember." Elijah stormed out, driving blind through the twilight to Lucas's motel room on the edge of town. The neon sign buzzed vacancy, like a lie, and inside, Lucas was packing, notebook strewn, camera case open. "Hey, cowboy," he grinned, but it faltered at Elijah's face. "What's wrong?" "Everything." Elijah's voice broke. "Caleb knows. The whole damn town will by morning. And you? Are you just gonna write me up like some sob story? Small town sinner falls for outlaw scribe?" Lucas crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling him close. "Eli, no. This isn't a story anymore. You're not. I came here for the fight, but I stayed for you. I'd burn every byline for one more night by the river." They fell into bed then, desperate and devouring, bodies mapping territories long denied. It was messy, fervent. Elijah's hesitations melting under Lucas's patience, whispers of "I love you" traded like contraband. For those hours, the world outside ceased to exist. There was only skin on skin, heartbeats sinking like a shared pulse. But dawn brought the reckoning. A pounding at the door yanked them from sleep, and when Lucas opened it, Reverend Harlan stood flanked by 3 deacons, faces carved from granite. "Mr. Hale," the Reverend intoned, Bible clutched like a shield, "we know why you're here. Sowing discord in our flock. Leave now, or face the consequences of the law." Lucas laughed, sharp and unyielding. "The law, or your mob justice? I've seen your kind before, hiding behind verses while you lynch souls." Elijah, pulling on his jeans, stepped forward, hand finding Lucas's. "He's not leaving alone. And neither am I." The Reverend's eyes bulged, betrayal etching deeper lines. "Elijah Whitaker, after all we've done, your mama's memory, your brother's sacrifices, you'd stand with this abomination." "He's no abomination," Elijah said, voice steady for the first time. "He's love. And so am I." The standoff stretched taut as a bowstring, the deacons shifting like storm clouds. Then, from the parking lot, engines roared, Caleb's truck leading a convoy of pickups, headlights slicing the mist. Billy Hargrove hopped out, shotgun cradled casual as a fishing pole. "Time to go, queer. Take your filth with you." Lucas tensed, but Elijah squeezed his hand. "Not like this. Not with hate." What followed was chaos scripted in small-town fury, shouts clashing like cymbals, a deacon lunging forward only to be shoved back by Caleb's barked command. "Enough, this is family business." But his eyes on Elijah were steel, disappointment laced with something darker, a flicker of his own buried shame. In the melee, Lucas's camera was smashed under a boot, shards glittering like broken promises. Elijah's lip split on a stray elbow, blood metallic on his tongue. They backed toward the Mustang, a united front against the tide of rage. "Drive," Elijah urged, sliding into the passenger seat as Lucas gunned the engine. Tires spun gravel into shrapnel, and they fled, Harlan's Bend shrinking in the rearview like a bad dream. But dreams have teeth. At the county line, Caleb's truck caught up, ramming the Mustang's bumper with a crunch that jarred bones. Lucas swerved, fighting for control, as Elijah twisted to see his brother's face, twisted in anguish, mouthing words lost to the wind. "Come back. Please." They ditched the pursuit at a crossroads diner, hearts pounding over black coffee that tasted of ash. "That wasn't leaving," Lucas said, bandaging Elijah's lip with a napkin. "That was war." Elijah nodded, the weight settling. "Then we fight smart. Your story, make it ours. Show them we're not sins. We're survivors." For weeks, they holed up in Des Moines, Lucas typing feverishly on a borrowed laptop while Elijah sketched maps of the town in his mind, feeding details like ammunition. The article dropped online first, Heartland Heresy, one town's war on love, and it spread like prairie fire, retweets from activists, shares from allies. Protests brewed at the courthouse, rainbow flags fluttering against the corn-fed storm. But betrayal came swift as a backstab. Caleb called one night, voice thick with whiskey. "Eli, it's me. Come home." Reverends offering forgiveness, a program, Counseling. For you. That Hale boy's poison. He's twisted you. Elijah's grip tightened on the phone. Counseling? To pray the gay away? I ain't broken. Cal. You're my brother. Family sticks. A pause. Heavy. I told them where you were. The motel. To protect you from yourself. The line went dead, and Elijah's world fractured. Lucas found him curled on the motel bed, sobs racking like fever chills. He sold us out. For what? To keep the farm pure. Lucas held him through the night, murmuring plans of escape, San Francisco, a fresh start. But Elijah couldn't run forever. The pull of roots, twisted as they were, anchored him. We go back. Face it. Or it'll chase us eternal. The return was a gauntlet. Harlan's Bend swelled with outsiders. Reporters, protesters, gawkers, turning the quiet streets into a circus of conviction. Reverend Harlan rallied his flock at the town square. A sea of signs. God hates fags. Repent or perish. Counter-protesters waved, love is love. Their chants a fragile dam against the flood. Elijah and Lucas arrived at dusk. The Mustang's engine a low growl. They parked at the square's edge, stepping out to a hush that deepened into roar. Cameras flashed like lightning, and Elijah felt exposed. Raw, every scar of his secrecy laid bare. Traitor! Billy bellowed, shotgun raised. But Caleb was there, wrenching it down. Their eyes met across the divide. Brothers. Blood. Broken. Reverend Harlan ascended a makeshift pulpit, voice booming. Behold the prodigal sinner, returned with his tempter. Will you repent, Elijah, or doom us all? Elijah climbed the steps, Lucas at his side, hand locked in unyielding grip. The crowd surged, a wave of fury crashing close. I ain't repenting, he shouted, voice carrying clear as chapel bells. Not for loving. Not for being who God made me. You call me sin? Fine. But sin stands tall. And it stands with him. He pulled Lucas forward, their kiss public, defiant, a seal on the chaos. Gasps rippled, then screams, but beneath it, scattered claps, a ripple of doubt in the faithful ranks. Caleb pushed through, face ashen. Eli, what v you done? I've chosen life. Cal. Over lies. Tears streaked his cheeks, but his chin lifted. Join us. Or let me go. The Reverend lunged, Bible raised like a club, but a protester's shield blocked him. Fists flew, chants drowned in bedlam, peace officers wading in, batons cracking like judgment. In the scrum, Elijah shielded Lucas from a wild swing, taking the blow to his ribs that expelled breath in a whoosh. Pain bloomed, but so did clarity. This was the cost, and it was worth every bruise. They retreated to the Mustang as sirens wailed, Caleb's truck blocking their path one last time. He rolled down the window, eyes wet. I was scared, Eli. For you. For me, a beat. Go. But no. I love you. Always did. It was absolution, jagged-edged. Elijah nodded, throat tight. Come find us. When you're ready. The Mustang peeled out, leaving Harlan's Bend in the dust, a town teetering on transformation, Reverend Harlan's empire cracking under the weight of one kiss. They drove west, toward horizons unbroken, Elijah's head on Lucas's shoulder, the road humming a lullaby of possibility. Months later, From a cramped apartment in San Francisco, Elijah watched the news. Harlan's Bend Pride, first of its kind, rainbow banners fluttering where crosses once burned. Caleb's face flashed, bearded now, holding a sign, Brothers Forever. No mention of the Reverend. Whispers of resignation. Elijah smiled, tracing the scar on his lip. Sin? No. They were saints of their own making, flawed, fierce, forever entwined. And in the city by the bay, under fog-kissed stars, love wasn't feared. It was feared no more. The fog in San Francisco rolled in like a reluctant confession, muting the city's pulse to a hazy whisper as Elijah and Lucas navigated the steep hills of the Castro district. It had been 3 months since the square in Harlan's Bend. 3 months of crash landing into a world that embraced them with open arms and half-raised eyebrows. Elijah still woke some nights slick with sweat, the phantom crack of Billy's shotgun splintering his dreams. But Lucas's steady breathing beside him was an anchor, pulling him back from the abyss. Their apartment was a shoebox on 18th Street, peeling wallpaper the color of faded denim, a kitchenette where the fridge hummed like a judgmental auntie, and a bed that sagged in the middle like it knew their secrets. Rent was paid with Lucas's freelance gigs and Elijah's gig at a local auto shop, fixing Volvos for tech bros who tipped in crypto instead of cash. It wasn't the farm's endless acres, but it was theirs. No prying eyes, no sermons laced with sulfur. Mornings started slow, coffee brewing black as midnight, Lucas tapping away at his laptop on articles about queer resilience, Elijah sketching engine diagrams on napkins between bites of toast slathered in peanut butter. "You ever miss it?" Lucas asked one dawn, sunlight slanting through the blinds like golden fingers. The quiet. The stars you could count without city glare. Elijah paused, mug halfway to his lips. "Miss the work." Yeah. Hands in the dirt, making something whole. But the rest? Nah. Here, I can breathe without apology. He leaned across the table, stealing a kiss that tasted of cream and possibility. Besides, who needs cornfields when we've got this view? He jerked his thumb toward the window, where rainbow flags snapped from lampposts like defiant prayers. Lucas chuckled, but his eyes held that shadow, the one that crept in when the adrenaline of escape faded. He'd gotten a book deal off the Harlan's Bend story, advances enough for a down payment on dreams, but the fame came barbed. Emails from strangers, traitor to your faith, death threats printed on newsprint, slipped under their door like love letters gone sour. "They fear us because we remind them of their own closets," Lucas would say, crumpling the hate into the trash. But Elijah saw the toll, the way Lucas's laugh shortened, his sleep fractured by ghosts. They built a rhythm anyway, stitching normalcy from the threads of chaos. Evenings at the Twin Peaks Tavern, nursing IPAs amid the leather-clad crowd, where hands intertwined without scandal. Weekends hiking the headlands, salt wind whipping their hair as they talked futures. A house in the suburbs, maybe, with a garage for Elijah's tinkering and a study for Lucas's words. "Adopt a dog," Elijah teased. "Name it Harlan, just to piss off the old man. But roots, even new ones, tangle quick." Elijah's first pride was a revelation, the parade a river of color, drag queens on floats belting show tunes, confetti raining like blessings. He marched arm in arm with Lucas, sign aloft, "From sin to saint." Strangers high-fived, tears streamed unashamed, and for the first time, Elijah felt part of something bigger than survival, a tapestry woven from shared scars. Back home, Buzzed on joy and cheap champagne, they tumbled into bed, bodies alight with the day's fire. Lucas traced the constellation of freckles across Elijah's chest, murmuring, "You're my revolution, Eli." Quiet thunder. Elijah arched into the touch, vulnerabilities bared. "And you're the spark." But what if it's not enough? What if they win back there? They won't. Lucas's kiss was fierce, a vow sealed in sweat. "We already did." Yet doubt lingered, a low hum beneath the harmony. Caleb's silence stretched. No calls, no postcards, like a wound that wouldn't scab. Elijah checked his phone obsessively, the blank screen a mirror to abandonment. "He meant it," he told Lucas one night, curled on the fire escape, city lights twinkling like distant judgments. That last look. Goodbye forever. Lucas pulled him close, chin on his shoulder. Or maybe he's fighting his own war. Give him time. Time, though, was a fickle ally. Lucas's book tour loomed, readings in New York, panels in LA, pulling him away for weeks. "Come with," he urged, packing suits that hung loose on his frame. "See the country on our terms." Elijah hesitated, fingers twisting the hem of his shirt. "Shop's short-staffed. And I ain't ready for spotlights. Crowds still make me flinch." "Flinch with me, then." Lucas cupped his face, thumbs brushing stubble. "We're a team. Remember? Sin and the scribe." Elijah relented, booking the flight with shaking hands. New York was a beast, hustle and honk, skyscrapers clawing the sky, but Lucas shone, his readings packed with queer kids hanging on every word. Elijah sat in the shadows, pride swelling like a tide, until the after-party at a Soho loft, where champagne flowed and admirers circled. One in particular, Alex, a lithe editor with ink-stained fingers and eyes that appraised like auctions. "Your man's a force," Alex purred to Elijah, handing him a flute. "But tell me, does the Heartland heartthrob ever get lonely on those long nights?" Elijah stiffened, the old defenses rising. "Not lonely. Loved." Alex laughed, low and knowing. "Sure. But love's a story too. And stories twist." It was nothing, a flirtation deflected like rain on glass. But seeds of suspicion sprout fast in fertile fear. When Lucas's phone buzzed late that night, Elijah glimpsed a text. "Missed you in Chicago. Drinks next time?" "Old source," Lucas mumbled, half asleep. "Nothing." Elijah nodded, but the worm burrowed. The tour dragged, cities blurring into a montage of hotel lobbies and signed copies. Elijah tagged along, but the shine dulled, jet lag gnawing, accents mocking his drawl. In LA, at a glitzy panel on queer narratives in the red states, Lucas debated with fire, but afterward, in their suite overlooking the sprawl, he deflated. They clap, but do they get it? The bone-deep ache of hiding. Elijah pulled him onto the balcony. City lights a sea below. They get the echo. We live the song. He kissed Lucas slow, reclaiming territory, but the text from Alex echoed, a dissonant note. Back in the bay, the fracture widened. Lucas dove into revisions, holed up for days, emerging hollow-eyed. Elijah buried in the shop, wrench in hand like a talisman, but grease couldn't scrub the unease. One evening, sorting laundry, he found a receipt, dinner for two at a Castro bistro, date stamped during his solo shift. Business, Lucas explained over takeout, fork stabbing rice. Agent wanted to brainstorm sequels. With Alex, the name slipped out, sharp as a slipped blade. Lucas paused, eyes narrowing. Jealous, wary, Elijah's voice cracked. Caleb sold me out for family. What's your poison? The air thickened, words unspoken coiling like smoke. Lucas reached across, but Elijah pulled back. Talk to me, Eli. Don't build walls we tore down, but walls rebuild easy. Nights grew distant. Elijah on the couch with a beer, Lucas at his desk till dawn. The farm boy's ache resurfaced. Not enough. Never was. The breaking point came mid-revision, a storm lashing the city like divine discontent. Elijah stormed out after another clipped exchange, wandering the Castro's neon veins until he washed up at the tavern. Beers blurred into 3, then 4, and there was Alex at the bar, nursing a whiskey neat. Fancy meeting the muse, Alex drawled, sliding onto the stool beside. Buy you one, Elijah waved it off, but the company stuck talk of books, of breaking molds. Alex's hand grazed his arm, casual as sin. Lucas is lucky. But luck runs dry. Elijah recoiled, the touch of brand. Don't, Alex shrugged. Just saying. Hearts wander when words fail. He left alone, rain-slick streets mirroring his turmoil. Home was dark. Lucas's side empty. Another late meeting. Elijah's phone buzzed. A text from Caleb. First in months. Saw the book. Proud. Miss you. Kel. Tears hot on his cheeks. Elijah dialed. Voicemail beeping soft. It's me. Come home? We can fix this. Family. But dawn brought Lucas, reeking of cologne not his own. Where were you? He demanded, spotting the red-rimmed eyes. Thinking. Elijah's laugh was bitter. Like you. The fight erupted, accusations flying like shrapnel. Alex? Really? After everything? It was dinner. Eli, you're the one shutting down. Shutting down? I'm fighting ghosts you can't see. The town. Caleb. Me doubting if this is real or just your next chapter. Lucas recoiled, hurt flashing. If you think that, maybe Harlan's Bend one. The door slammed, Lucas gone, and Elijah crumpled, the apartment echoing empty as a confessional. Days blurred into silence, texts unanswered, shop shifts numb. Elijah drove the Mustang, Lucas's gift, out to the headlands, waves crashing like regrets. There, under Gull's cries, he called Caleb again. Voicemail, Eli, is bad. Reverends rallying again. Protests turning ugly. Need you. Guilt twisted. A knife in the gut. Family. Always the tether. He returned to find Lucas packing, suitcase half-zipped. Tour extension. Clear my head. Run. Then, Elijah's voice hollow. Like I should have from the start. Lucas paused. Eyes searching. This isn't over. Is it? Elijah turned away. The lie heavy. Maybe it is. Alone. The apartment shrank. Walls closing like a vice. Elijah pored over the book. Sins of the Heartland, tracing their story in print. But the pages felt foreign. His pain polished for profit. Betrayal's sting was double-edged. Caleb's initial sellout, now this fracture born of fear. A week in, the call came. Caleb, frantic. Eli, is Tommy's ma. She's dying. Wants to see you. Forgive you, she says. Tommy. The ghost. Elijah booked the flight, heart leaden. Tell Lucas, but there was no Lucas to tell. Harlan's Bend greeted him like a prodigal's curse, fields gold as memory, air thick with harvest rot. Caleb met him at the bus station, embrace bone-crushing. You look city thin. Good, though. Strong. Missed you, Cal. The farmhouse stood sentinel, ghosts in every creek. Tommy's ma lay frail in her bed, eyes milky but sharp. Elijah boy, she rasped, hand frail in his. My Tommy. He loved you. Said so. Before. Don't let hate win. Live for him. For you. Tears fell unbidden. I try, ma'am. Every day, she squeezed. A final spark. Then you're forgiven. We all are. She slipped away at midnight, peaceful, and Elijah mourned not just her, but the boy he'd lost, the innocence shattered. Caleb stood vigil beside him, shoulder to shoulder. I was wrong, Eli. About everything. Sold you out, 'cause I was scared of losing you like Mama, like Tommy. But seeing your story, it hit home. Made me face my own. Elijah blinked. Yours, Caleb nodded, gaze on the floor. Always knew, deep down. Buried it for Dad, for the farm. But Jenny, she knows. Says it's okay. We're figuring. Brother hugged brother. Fractures mending in the quiet. Come back for the funeral, Caleb urged. Show 'em we're not broken. Elijah hesitated. San Francisco's pull warring with this prodigal homecoming. Lucas. Things are messed. Fix it. Like engines. One part at a time. Back in the bay. The apartment echoed colder. A note on the fridge. At the tavern. Come, Elijah went. Heart hammering. Lucas nursed a beer. Eyes shadowed. Missed you. Missed us. Elijah slid beside. Hand finding familiar warmth. Caleb. He's coming around. Tommy's ma forgave me. Died peaceful. Lucas listened. Thumb circling Elijah's knuckles. And Alex? It was nothing. Swear. Just noise. I know. Elijah leaned in. Forehead to forehead. We're noise too. But the good kind. Forgiveness flowed slow. A river carving stone, nights talking till dawn. Vulnerabilities bared like offerings. They attended couples counseling at a queer center, unpacking baggage till it weighed less. Elijah started a blog, Wrench and Word, sharing farm boy truths amid city grit, readers trickling in like rain. Caleb's visit was tentative. A weekend, Jenny and the kids in tow, wide-eyed at the rainbow crosswalks. Over dim sum, chopsticks foreign in calloused hands, Caleb toasted. To sins redeemed, to standing, Elijah echoed, Lucas's hand in his under the table. The square's echo faded, but its lesson lingered. Love wasn't absence of storm, but dancing in the downpour. In San Francisco's embrace, Elijah and Lucas built not just a life, but a legacy human, flawed, fiercely unashamed. Winter clamped down on the Bay Area like a stern librarian. Foghorns moaning through the night as Elijah and Lucas settled into the fragile peace of reconstruction. The apartment, once a battlefield of silences, now hummed with tentative harmony. Lucas's manuscripts stacked like Jenga towers on the coffee table. Elijah's tools laid out on the fire escape for impromptu fixes. Caleb's visit had been a bridge, rickety but holding, with promises of more, holiday cards, maybe a summer road trip east. But peace in queer love is often borrowed, repaid with interest when the world remembers its grudges. It started with a letter, crisp envelope postmarked Harlan's Bend, addressed to Elijah in a hand he recognized, Reverend Harlan's, all loops and judgment. Inside, no brimstone, just a summons. The church seeks reconciliation. Your presence required for the memorial of Mrs. Reese. Refusal stains your soul further. Elijah's stomach knotted, the paper crumpling in his fist. Reconciliation or ambush? Lucas read over his shoulder. Jaw tight. Trap. But go if you must. I'll come. Backup rider. No. Elijah shook his head, resolve hardening. This is mine. Closure. Maybe. The flight east was a time machine, propelling him back to flannel fields and fundamentalist frost. Harlan's Bend lay dusted in December's first snow, the town square a ghost of summer's riot, bare trees clawing at gray skies, the courthouse steps swept clean of confetti and curses. Caleb picked him up, truck idling warm. Reverends on best behavior. Lost half the flock after your performance. Now he's playing shepherd to strays. The memorial was subdued. Folding chairs in the fellowship hall, poinsettias wilting on the altar. Tommy's ma's photo smiled from an easel. Younger, vibrant, arm around a lanky boy with Elijah's eyes in miniature. Reverend Harlan presided, voice oiled smooth. Margaret Reese was a pillar, faithful till the end. She forgave much, as Christ commands. Elijah sat rigid, Caleb's family a buffer beside him. Whispers slithered, the prodigal returns. When the Reverend called him forward, Elijah, a word on grace, the room tensed, air thick as incense. He rose, legs leaden, and approached the podium. Faces blurred, neighbors who'd shared potlucks, now strangers with veiled scorn. Mrs. Reese. She saw people, not sins. Taught me forgiveness starts inside. His voice steadied, gaze locking on Harlan. I forgive this town. For Tommy. For the silence that killed him. But don't ask me to forget. Or to hide. Murmurs swelled, but Harlan nodded. Serpentine. Bold words, son. The Lord appreciates contrition. Contrition. Elijah's laugh barked sharp. I'm here for her, not you. And next time, preach love, not fear. He stepped down to scattered claps. Caleb's grip firm on his arm. Outside, snow flurried soft, and for a moment, Elijah breathed free, the memorial not closure, but a crack in the facade. Back in the city, he recounted it to Lucas over mulled wine, fire crackling in their thrift store grate. Felt like slaying dragons. Small ones. Lucas pulled him close, lips brushing temple. My hero. Now, about that sequel idea, your voice in it, Elijah demurred, but the seed took. Collaborations bloomed. Co-authored pieces for queer mags, Elijah's raw prose tempering Lucas's lyricism. Their byline became a brand Whitaker and Hale. Love's Long Road, drawing invites to panels, podcasts. Fame nibbled at edges, but they armored with routines. Tuesday tacos at La Taqueria, Sunday hikes where hands swung free. Spring unfurled, cherry blossoms painting the Presidio pink. When the call came, Lucas's agent, voice electric. Major publisher wants the full bio. Your story, Eli. From Ben to Bay. Advance, 6 figures. Elijah blinked at the skyline from their balcony. Wind tousling his hair. Ours? You mean, ours? Lucas grinned, spinning him in a victory dance that ended pressed against the railing, kisses deepening with the thrill. But elation soured swift. Research unearthed Harlan's Ben's underbelly. Lawsuits brewing against the church for conversion abuses. Survivors' testimonies echoing Elijah's buried pains. Lucas dove deep. Interviews via Zoom with exiles, kids like Tommy, scattered to winds. This could change laws, he enthused. Notebook frantic. Expose the rot. Elijah nodded, but unease stirred. Be careful. They bite back. They did. First, a package at their door. Dog-eared Bible. Pages marked on Leviticus. Notes scrawled. Sinners beware. Judgment comes. Lucas laughed it off. Fan mail. But Elijah bolted the door. Sleep evading. Then, the hack. Lucas's email breached. Drafts leaked online. Forums ablaze with snippets of Elijah's vulnerabilities. Twisted into tabloid fodder. Heartland homo's hidden shame, headlines screamed. Photos from the square doctored with devil horns. Elijah's shop became a gauntlet, customers leering, tips drying up. Heard you're the devil's mechanic, one sneered. Engine left unrepaired. At home, voicemails piled. Harlan's voice, oily, come confess, boy. Before it's too late, Lucas raged, lawyering up, but the damage seeped doubt. That old foe, whispering see, sin catches up. One night, storm raging outside, Elijah confronted. Is this worth it? Us as collateral? Lucas's eyes flashed hurt. This is us fighting back. Silence is surrender. Surrender to what? Living? Elijah's voice rose. Thunder's echo. I left the farm for peace, not perpetual war. The argument crested. Words weapons. Lucas accusing paranoia. Elijah betrayal by exposure. You promised a team, Elijah hurled. Not a headline, Lucas recoiled. And you promised trust. Silence fell, heavier than rain. Elijah grabbed his jacket, fleeing to the streets, pavement slick underfoot. He ended at the Golden Gate, bridge lights haloed in mist, waves churning below like unspoken fears. Jump? No. Fight. But how? Dawn found him at a payphone, relic of resolve, dialing Caleb. Cal? Is bad. Leaks. Threats. Need. Advice. Caleb's voice. Steady as plow earth. Come home. Eli. Neutral ground. Bring him. We'll face it together. Elijah hung up, resolve crystallizing. Lucas was waiting when he returned, face haggard, coffee cold. I'm sorry, they chorused. Collision soft. Farm, Elijah said. Visit. Clear the air. Lucas nodded, weary. Together, the drive east was a pilgrimage. Mustang humming hymns on interstates, playlists shuffling Springsteen to Billie Holiday. They talked detours, pet peeves, dreams deferred. Want kids someday? Lucas mused. Hand on Elijah's thigh. Yeah. Teach him to fix flats and fight fair. Harlan's Bend shimmered mirage-like. Fields greening under tentative sun. Caleb's welcome was porch swing warm. Jenny's pie steaming. kids tumbling like puppies. City slickers, Caleb teased, but his hug lingered. The farm felt smaller, ghosts gentler. Evenings by the fire pit. Stories swapped. Lucas's Chicago scars. Elijah's hayloft confessions. Caleb's quiet coming out to the congregation. Resignation tendered. A new ministry budding for the marginalized. But Harlan lurked. A town hall announced, "Faith under fire, defending our values." Posters everywhere. Reverend's face stern. "We go," Elijah declared over breakfast. Show strength. The hall packed tight. Air electric with anticipation. Harlan at the dais. Railing. "Liberals invade." Twisting scripture. "We stand firm." Then, mics open for comment. Elijah rose. Lucas beside. Hands clasped. "Reverend. Folks, I'm Elijah Whitaker. You knew me as the sinner. But sin's what you did, shunned Tommy. Silenced me. We're here not to fight, but to heal." Gasps rippled. But Caleb stood next. Voice booming. "He's right. My brother's blood. And I'm gay too. Time to own it." Pandemonium. Cheers. Jeers. Harlan's face purpling. A deacon lunged. But security, pro-gay allies now held firm. Outside, media swarmed. But the brothers stood. Lucas's arm around them. A trinity unbroken. Harlan cornered them post-mayhem. Private in his office. Bible-thumping desk. "You've poisoned my flock." "No," Elijah said soft. "We freed them. From you." The Reverend deflated. Age etching deep. "I believed. For Mama. For the town." "Belief without love's a cage," Lucas said. Gentle. "Unlock it." Harlan's nod was infinitesimal. But there a crack. Back west. The bio deal swelled. Fortified by the hall's footage, viral vindication. Threats ebbed. Replaced by support. Letters from exiles. Donations for a queer youth fund. Elijah's shop thrived. Clients sharing stories over oil changes. Summer solstice. They married courthouse simple. Rings etched with cornstalks and bridges. Caleb officiated via Zoom. Grinning. "Sins no more." Under fireworks. Elijah whispered. "Feared most? That was you to them. To me, salvation." Lucas kissed him. "Eternal. And you, my heartland home." The wedding's afterglow lingered like summer haze, infusing San Francisco's bustle with a golden filter as Elijah and Lucas navigated the uncharted waters of matrimony. At 26, Elijah felt ancient, scars a roadmap, vows a compass, but the city embraced their union with confetti casualness. Brunches with mimosas, housewarming gifts of artisanal cheeses from well-wishers who'd read their story. The apartment upgraded to a 2-bedroom in No Valley, space for a home office, a guest room for Caleb's visits, and walls painted sage to soothe the soul. Life settled into grooves worn smooth by intention. Mornings. Elijah brewing pour-over, Lucas stretching yoga sleek on the rug, radio crooning NPR's Queer History Hour. "Did you know the first Pride was a riot?" Lucas would quiz. Downward dog to Elijah's eye roll. "Yeah, and we're the hangover." But he'd join. Poses wobbling. Laughter bubbling. Elijah's blog exploded. Wrench and Word now a podcast. Episodes recorded in their sun-dappled kitchen. Guests ranging from farm activists to drag divas. Sponsors trickled. Tool brands touting inclusive grit. Publishers hungry for Heartland tales. Lucas's bio. Sins of the Heartland. Hit shelves with a splash. Oprah's book club whisper. Reviews hailing it a queer grapes of wrath. Royalties funded a down payment on a fixer-upper in the outer sunset. Waves crashing audible. Garage begging Elijah's touch. But joy's shadow is vigilance. Harlan's bend simmered. Reverend Harlan's reconciliation tore a wolf in sheep's wool. Rallies in Iowa basements, decrying gay agendas with Elijah's name as Exhibit A. One night, post-reading, a heckler cornered Lucas. "Tell your hubby the devil's got his number." Lucas brushed it off, but Elijah saw the flinch. "Ignore. We're winning." Winning meant work, founding the Reese Resilience Fund, scholarships for queer rural kids, Tommy's legacy in grants. Elijah crisscrossed the Midwest, speaking at high schools voice steady, eyes meeting the shy ones in back rows. "Hiding hurts more than hate," he'd say. "Step out. We'll catch you." One event, in a Des Moines auditorium, a teen approached post-talk. Freckled, farm-fresh, voice trembling. "I'm like you." Scared, Elijah knelt, card in hand. "Call any time. You're not alone." Lucas watched from the wings, pride molten. "You're changing worlds." Cowboy nights, they decompress on their balcony, now with potted herbs thriving, wine loosening tongues. "Ever think about kids?" Elijah ventured one dusk, sun dipping oceanward. Lucas stilled, glass midway. "Yeah. Surrogate, adoption, the works. Scary. But good scary." Kisses sealed it. Bodies rediscovering in the queen bed that no longer sagged. Love's language fluent now. Vulnerabilities not weapons but invitations. Autumn brought Caleb, full visit. Jenny corralling kids through airport chaos. The boys, 5 and 7, gawked at cable cars. Uncle Eli, "Does it fly?" Farm tales swapped over clam chowder. Caleb's new gig as counselor for LGBTQ plus youth a revelation. Harlan's gone quiet. Church split, progressives won the building. "We're planting seeds." Elijah beamed, but a call interrupted. "Agent. Urgent. Book 2, your family angle." Caleb's story 2. Caleb demurred. "I'm no writer," but Elijah pressed. Together. Heal out loud. The collaboration ignited. Outlines sketched over Thanksgiving turkey, narratives intertwining like rivers. But mid-draft, fracture. Jenny's miscarriage, announced casual over Zoom, gutted Caleb. "Lost another," he rasped, voice whiskey rough. "Can't shake it." Elijah flew east solo. Lucas buried in edits. The farm felt heavier, snow blanketing grief. Caleb hollow-eyed at the kitchen table. "Thought we were past this. But doubt creeps. Am I enough? For them? For me?" Elijah gripped his hand. "You're the rock. Cracks don't break you. They let light in." Nights blurred. Stargazing in the fields. Whiskey confessions. Caleb admitted more youthful flings buried. Jenny's grace a lifeline. "Your kiss in the square? Saved me." Eli. Healing was slow burn. But by week's end, Caleb resurfaced. Draft pages clutched. Words flowing tentative. For the boys. So they never hide. Elijah returned buoyed. But Lucas was distant. Deadlines devouring. Eyes ringed with fatigue. "Missed you," Elijah murmured, arms encircling from behind. "Missed us." Lucas turned, kiss fierce. "This book's devouring me. Us against it." Then, winter holidays dawned festive. Tree strung with rainbow ornaments, Caleb's family flying west for New Year's. The kids' glee sledding in Golden Gate Park. Fireworks over the bay, masked undercurrents. A package arrived mid-feast. No sender. Contents a slashed pride flag. Note: sins multiply. Repent. Caleb paled. Harlan. Or copycats. Lucas fortified security cams. Lawyer on speed dial. But the chill lingered. Yuletide cheer brittle. New Year brought pivot. Elijah's proposal for the fund. A Midwest retreat for queer families. Safe space amid corn. Call it Bend Back. Reclaim it. Lucas's eyes lit. Genius. I'll fundraise. Planning consumed spring site scouting in Iowa. Grants grinding bureaucracy. Tension simmered. Lucas's travel clashing Elijah's shop hours. Arguments flaring over budgets. It's our baby, Elijah snapped one eve. Map strewn. Our? You're the visionary. I'm the bankroll. Lucas winced. Shit. Meant support. Feels like savior. Elijah stormed to the garage. Wrench clanging tools like accusations. Reconciliation came dawnlit. Lucas at the door. Coffee peace offering. Partners. Always. Summer solstice marked the retreat's groundbreak. Earth turned under Harlan's Bend skies. Once hostile locals mingling wary with activists. Reverend Harlan appeared. Gaunt. Retired. Rumor had it. To a Florida condo. Bless this, he muttered. Hand hovering. Elijah clasped it. Or just witness. Crowd swelled. Donors. Survivors sharing toasts. Caleb emceed. Voice booming. From sin to sanctuary. That night. Bonfire crackling. Elijah and Lucas slipped away to the river. Willows whispering old secrets. Full circle. Elijah breathed. Head on Lucas's lap. More. Spiral up. Lucas's fingers carded hair. Kid soon? Make it real. Elijah nodded. Heart full. But full moons wane. Fall harvest. The call, surrogate match, biology there's. Timeline tight. Excitement crackled. Nursery paint. Name lists. Aiden? Riley. Ultrasounds beamed. Heartbeat flutter. Miracle made manifest. Then, ambush. Harlan's final gasp. A podcast expose. The lies of Whitaker and Hale. Twisting their bios into scandal. Fabricated abuses. Paid testimonies. Forums erupted. Fund donations halted. Retreat stalled. Elijah's podcast tanked. Sponsors fleeing like rats. Shop whispers returned. Fakers. Lucas lawyered furious. But exhaustion etched deep. We fight. Always. But Elijah's resolve wavered. Saget's worry calls adding weight. Or. Pause. Protect what's coming. Fracture revisited. Nights tense. Touches tentative. Caleb visited. Bolstering. Truth wins. Like us. But loss struck swift. Saget's complication. Pregnancy unviable. Grief tsunami. Hospital vigils. Empty nursery mocking. Elijah withdrew. Lucas chasing words for solace. One storm-lashed night. Elijah packed a bag. Need space. To grieve alone. Lucas's plea. Don't. We're the alone. But Elijah left. Crashing at a friend's. Days blurring in bars and bayside walks. Reflection came slow. Fear. Not fault. Drove the rift. He returned. Key turning soft. Lucas waited. Wrecked. Stay. Always. Embrace dissolved barriers. Grief shared in sobs and silences. Rebuild, therapy tandem. Fund revived via Caleb's church allies, Harlan's successor and advocate. Podcast relaunched raw. Grief's grace. Winter waned. Spring whispered hope. A new adoption inquiry. Twins from foster care. Ready? Lucas asked. Hand on belly no more swollen. Readier. Elijah kissed. Eternal vow. Spring's thaw in San Francisco carried the scent of eucalyptus and renewal. Blooming jasmine twining the trellises of their outer sunset home as Elijah and Lucas stepped into the uncharted terrain of fatherhood. The twins, Miles and Harper, 4-year-old whirlwinds from a Chicago foster system, arrived on a blustery April afternoon, suitcases bulging with mismatched socks and stuffed guardians. Their first night was symphony and chaos. Miles's giggles echoing off vaulted ceilings, Harper's thumbsuck solemnity melting under bedtime stories of brave mechanics and wandering scribes. Elijah dove in headlong, calluses softening on tiny hands, grease traded for goldfish crumbs. Daddy Eli, Miles dubbed him, clambering for piggybacks. Harper claimed Lucas as Papa Words, demanding recitals of where the wild things are. The garage became play fort, tools holstered for block towers. Lucas's study, fortressed with crayons, birthed collaborative tales, monsters reformed by love. Parenting's grind honed them. Sleepless sinks over nightmares, miles of shadows from old homes. Preschool runs amid traffic snarls. Playdates where Elijah's drawl drew curious glances. Iowa? A mom queried at the park, swings creaking. Adopted. Blood don't make family, Elijah replied, pushing Harper higher. Love does. Lucas chronicled it gently, blog posts on queer kinship, anonymized to shield the smalls, while Elijah's podcast evolved, Family Forged, episodes on resilience with guest dads sharing scars. Ratings soared, but balance teetered, deadlines clashing diaper changes, resentments simmering low. Caleb's summers became ritual farm swaps, kids romping corn mazes, Elijah teaching tractor roars while Lucas and Caleb co-wrote op-eds on rural reform. Jenny, ever anchor, hosted barbecues where twins chased fireflies, her own rainbow pin glinting proud. You built this, she told Elijah one dusk, twins dozing in laps. From ashes. From us, he corrected. Gaze on Lucas, fire-lit and familiar. But embers flare. The retreat, bend back, thrived. Cabins hosting healing circles. But expansion bids unearthed Harlan's ghost. Land disputes, heirs claiming moral easement. Lawsuits loomed, draining funds, stress etching Lucas's brow. One harvest eve, post-fundraiser gala, Elijah tuxed awkward, Lucas suave argument ignited in the Mustang's hush. We overextend, Elijah vented, city lights streaking. Kids need us whole, not warriors, Lucas gripped wheel. This is whole fighting for their world. Whose world? Ours first. Elijah's voice cracked, old wounds raw. Home dissolved into cold shoulders. Elijah bunking guest room. Lucas burning midnight oil. Twins sensed. Tantrums spiking. Harper's cling. Miles's withdrawal. Crisis crested mid-autumn. Lucas collapsed at a panel. Exhaustion. Doc said. Cortisol crash from chronic fight. Hospital sterile. Elijah at bedside. Hand clasped. Scared me, he whispered. Tears hot. Lucas's smile wan. Pushed too far. For the cause. For us. Elijah's resolve. Scale back. Hire help. Be dads first. Recovery reframed. Lucas delegating drafts. Elijah streamlining the fund partnerships with urban orgs. Load lightened. Therapy resumed. Twin inclusive. Play sessions unpacking big feels. Holidays healed. Thanksgiving at the farm. Twins in overalls harvesting Uncle Cal's gold. Caleb's church, now Allied Sanctuary, hosted a queer nativity. Miles as shepherd. Harper angel winged. Reverend Harlan's passing noted in obits. Quiet, unrepentant to end, but his shadow shrank. Winter's hush birthed boldness. Lucas's memoir sequel, Hearts Unbent, co-authored with Elijah and Caleb, Tapestry of Triumphs, a bestseller seeding scholarships. Twins' first pride, wagon pulled, signs aloft, love family, cheers enveloping. Spring circled back, twins 5 now, kindergarten bound. Elijah tinkered in the garage, Miles assisting with toy wrench. When Lucas appeared, envelope crisp. Adoption final. Official, they framed it. Ceremony small. Backyard vows renewed. Caleb toasting via video. Kids scattering petals. But humanity's arc bends slow. A bend-back camper's story. Teen exile. Family fractured, mirrored too close. Suicide attempt. Funds hotline lifeline. Elijah drove through night to the hospital. Lucas coordinating care. Twins with Jenny overnight. Dawn vigil. Kids stabilized. Elijah confessed. Hits home. Tommy echoes. Lucas nodded. Arm around. We break the cycle. One hand at a time. Expansion pivoted. Advocacy for foster reform. Elijah testifying in DC Voice Steady. Tales of twins' joy ammunition. Back home. Accolades piled. Human Rights Campaign Award. Gala where Miles and Harper stole show. Bow-tied charmers. A decade's lens. 30s dawning. Elijah's hair threading silver. Lucas's laugh lines deepening. The house expanded. Nursery for the maybe someday sibling. Study walls lined with published spines. Podcast empire. Fund legacy. Thousands touched. Harlan's tamed. 1 anniversary. River picnic redux. San Francisco Bay lapping. Basket unpacked. Twins romped shallows. Caleb joining impromptu. Family mosaic complete. Elijah raised glass. From sin to this. Feared, not cherished. Lucas clinked. Eyes missed. And standing, still. Always, as sun dipped, casting long loves. Elijah knew, not happy endings, but humane continuums, kisses in public. Hands unfeared. Sins redeemed in sunrise. They stood, not against, but with the world, remade in their image.